Well, as someone who lives in LA and you're a person who lives in New York, I'm really fascinated with how you stumbled onto the farm. And I'd love for you to share a bit about your process of finding the farm or the Farminary and what that's meant to you.
So I was a full-time journalist in New York City, and it became clear to me that the work that I was doing wasn't feeding my soul in the way that I had hoped it would. I got into journalism to tell stories that mattered, and I've never been particularly interested in writing celebrity profiles or doing superficial narratives. And it felt as if that's what I was being asked to do. Sometimes you have to grieve something and move through loss before you know what you're moving toward. So I had to acknowledge that this career that I'd built wasn't giving me the satisfaction that I was longing for. And probably there was a mistake in there that I was making and that I suspect a lot of folks make, which is that I was hoping that I would find my meaning through my work, that my profession would make me a whole human. And that's not the truth. So I had to grieve the loss of the career that I had imagined before I could begin to explore what the next chapter might be. And even then, the story I told myself and the story that I told my husband was that I was going to seminary so that I could be a better religion writer. I couldn't acknowledge at the time that there might be a different kind of call. So it really was a gradual, incremental process. There was no Damascus Road moment. There was no epiphany. It was an evolution. And the specific thing that led me to the Farminary was honestly fear. Fear of going back to graduate school at the age of 39, being stuck in classrooms with many students who were maybe 22, 23, knowing my brain didn't work like it used to. And when I saw in the course catalog that there was a class at the seminary's farm, honestly, I just thought it would be a chance to have a different kind of learning experience. There was no grand plan. I didn't know what I was getting into. And sometimes those are the most beautiful things, when you're willing to dare to do something different without knowing what the outcome is going to be.
Jeff, in your life, I mean, that was like, sure, that sounded different. Do you feel like there's a way to discern what are daring moments that are worth taking? Or, does spontaneity always lead to fruitful ends or not?
I will say my decision to go to seminary was made in community. I think there's a particular American allegiance to the self-made man, the independent person. And there's an undervaluing of community. But I come from a communal culture. Chinese culture is communal. And when my husband and I began talking about the possibility of seminary, we formed a discernment team, 6 people who agreed to come alongside for 9 months to a year. That was the commitment that I asked for. And each of them agreed to talk with me once every 6 to 8 weeks. And I asked them to ask hard questions. I asked them to bring some of their own life experiences. So we made the decision in community. And that's something I would say benefited us immensely, that we gave time and space to the decision making so that it wasn't just a moment of daring, but that it was multiple steps over many months of daring, of urging each other on with care.
I think that's so beautiful, that in how unfamiliar to most contemporary human beings to take that amount of time, and the commitment in community to deeply listen to you and to you to listen to them. I know in my 20s and 30s, I spent a lot of time literally looking like, God, could you give me a cloud formation? Could a plane fly by with a sign? Like, could something? How do I know? What do I do?
I wish that was how it worked, but it hasn't worked that way in my life. And most often, I have sensed God's leading through others' voices in my life.